Yeah, look, there's been a multitude of clay-based rare earth shows that have popped up around Australia of late. They were looking for zinc or copper, and suddenly they're clay-based rare earths. There's differences that you'll see through all these projects. People talk about ionic and non-ionic clays. The reality is there's a little bit of a ionic clay across all of these deposits, but to get an economic mine, you need to go for the non-ionic portion as well. I don't think there's any truly 100% ionic recovery process in Australia. We will all be adding acid, and we'll all be putting it into a heap leach, or we'll be putting it into leach tanks to get those out. So when we come back to a prospect point of view and how we then delineate what looks good and what doesn't, it's really, if you look at the granites, or if you looked at Linus, for example, they're all dealing with monazites and those ones that aren't readily leachable. So I sort of relate it back to gold every now and again. They're like a refractory gold. So you've got to stick it in a kiln, you've got to heat it up, you've got to throw some acid in it as well. It becomes an expensive process. Whereas the clay-based ones are more like your free leachable gold mines, effectively.
Okay, the supergene.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So we're trying to look for those ones. So we know within grass patch and splinter rock that we're going to have some parts are going to be really refractory, and some parts are going to be really, really good leaching properties. Have we figured out the reasons behind all of that yet? Yes and no, but we're still learning. So I think the difference between splinter rock and grass patch, splinter rock's got more of those Baranya granites that I talk about. They're really high in rare earths originally, so from that point of view there's going to be a higher source there. We should get better grades. The grass patch area, it's got a few granites in there, not the same Baranya granites, different, sort of a couple 100 million years in difference. So they're going to have different genesis around the rare earths, why they're there, and from what we saw with the AEM survey at grass patch, we've seen some big paleo valleys or paleo channels running through there, and some other spots that are just a big valley or a big dump of clay in one spot. So they're going to have all the different properties. And I think, from what we're seeing, I think the water's going to be an interesting basis on if it's been able to leach some of it out and relocate it to another area. I think that's where we're going to see some really good recoveries. So readily leachable rare earths. Whereas the ones that are sitting right on top of a granite or are just recently weathered, I think they're going to have more refractory and lower recoveries from that point of view. So when we're trying to look at this as a big picture at the moment, it's a big picture, but there's lots of little things going on in between that we're just trying to work with the smartest guys in the room effectively.